And they're off for this £40,000 British EBF Future Stayers Nursery Handicap. It's Class 2 event over 1.25 miles, which is a proper stamina test. And One World and Frankie Dettori began well. Eligius in the black jacket and yellow epaulets and armlets on his inside as they go through the first furlong. The two Godolphin runners in touch. Castaway in the blue cap, One Nation in the white cap there. William Buick on the former, Ryan Moore on the latter. Held up in touch then is Struth with Baltic Voyage behind them as well. So they're coming through the first 3 furlongs then as they move down towards the 7 furlong point. And a well clustered field here. One World from Eligius with on the inside then Baltic Voyage. Struth is just tracking Castleway on the outside. And just about last then is One Nation as they move down towards the final 3/4 of a mile with only about 3 lengths covering the field. Frankie Dettori's only mount of the day on One World. Rank outsider Eligius on the rail there, the black and yellow colours. And then wider out then to Struth in the yellow cap, yellow sleeves. Castleway tracking with Baltic Voyage on the rail, and in touch, still travelling well, is One Nation. So they're coming down inside the final half mile of the contest here in this British EBF Future Stayers Nursery. Frankie in front on One World. He's dictated so far. Within a neck, though, is Struth and Jason Hart. Travelling well, Struth. On the outside, now shaking up the two Godolphin runners. Just switched there is Castleway. Wider is One Nation. The two of these locked together as they make their challenge entering the final furlong and a half. They're racing down the hill towards the dip. One World on the far side. Here comes Castleway, though, with a dangerous looking run. One Nation right behind them. Inside the final furlong they go, and Castleway is beginning to get on top here. Draws further clear in the closing stages, and it's a treble for William Buick and Charlie Appleby. Castleway wins it. One World in second, One Nation third, and close up and closing, Baltic Voyage.
Yeah, it's bang back to form. That's exactly what we wanted to see. More like Haydock than Epsom from Castleway. And yet another horse to win on the day for Charlie Appleby and William Buick. It's a treble for them. But yet another horse to finish strongly and go on and win with real authority. That's exactly what he's done. He's put a good bit of distance between himself and One World, who ran well for a long way, has stuck about. They are running into a bit of a headwind out there. And Frankie Dettori's only mount on the day has run well. The stablemate of the winner, One Nation, was back in third. But that was quite impressive.
Yeah, very. Look, he's off a mark of 89, so the next comment is probably silly, but I think he's a pattern horse, pattern class or stakes class horse anyway. Yeah, but whatever went wrong at Epsom, I think it was a course.
Yep.
And the further he went today, the more he looked like a good horse. And out of all the horses we've seen all day, I don't think anything's finished the final furlong in more obviously striking style. You think here he's probably going to win. Yeah, you fancy he's going to stay, and he really loved the trip and he loved the hill, didn't he? When he had something to get up, and there's a very consistent horse he's beat in second and third, and I mean anyway he's going to go to a mark in the high 90s. I think he's a fair bit better than that, and he's a mile and a half horse next year, isn't he?
Completely. He's a different profile to his half-brother, Palace Pier, who's obviously a lot quicker.
Yeah.
Cast away by Almanzor, the champion racehorse of a few years ago. 10 furlongs, no bother, and exactly as you said, he's a middle-distance horse.
I'm pretty sure Palace Pier would have stayed 10 furlongs. I really do. I know, we never know. We can't prove it.
There was a bit of talk at the time.
Yeah, and I understand that. That's not a criticism, but I think he would have stayed if they'd asked him personally. I don't think this was. It's just nice when you see a horse block their copybook. You think they're the legitimate reason, and Epsom can be a legitimate. He just looked so ill at ease that day, and today, funny, he would find the dip actually as well. He had to wait for a run, but that may not be a bad thing in this wind. And once he got out, it was an inevitability. Interesting run, I thought, by Baltic Voyage, who at the end was staying on.
Yes.
It wasn't the trip that beat him. He ran a funny race, a different race than I thought he'd run. You know, he sort of got left behind and then plugged on. I think they will find a race with that horse, and I do think it's worth persevering over this sort of trip.
Plenty of experience, proven stamina for One World, who I don't think has run perfectly well. And if this were to be, for example, the last run of the year, it's been the end of a good year, I'd say. It's been 2 from 6 of the year. Ridden as though stamina wouldn't be a problem. Rab Havlin said earlier in the year he'll be getting a mile and a quarter. He's got that. He's just been passed by one who's open to loads of improvement.
Look, he was closely matched on previous form with One Nation. He's beaten One Nation further today. I think very possibly a slight career best effort by the runner-up. Perfectly, you certainly argue that, because I think the third's a pretty consistent horse. He's just bumped into a horse who is considerably better than his mark, and the reasons for it are obvious. And today, with a completely different order, a flat spot here, he's a stayer basically. Once he's got out inside his stable companion, there was only going to be one winner. But even there, I didn't think he was going to win 3 lengths or 4 lengths or whatever he won by. But he has done. That's a sign of how much ground he put in. And just looking at the horse who's now in 5th, he does run on Baltic Voyage. I don't think well, I'm sure it isn't the trip that beats him. He will be of some interest, I think, if they persist over this trip, and he'll get middle distances next year, I'm sure.
In the end, the horse that finished 5th was Struth, who for a good part of that race has been beaten a fair old way in the end. Didn't look like it was going to be that kind of a margin of defeat. Moved all right.
Yeah, just shows you.
Still a lightly raced horse.
It shows you what difference a track makes, doesn't it? When you think that's the turnaround from. No, he's run fine. I just think his mark is. I don't think he's ahead of 88 personally. I think that's probably where he is, and he's going to be vulnerable at the moment to improvers.
And you spoke to Ryan Moore, who has again been in the money, but after our previous race, when second on Sir Lawrence Gruff, you were sort of talking about what kind of a surface we're on here. He's very much of the opinion that it is the wind that is playing a big old part.
Yeah, I thought Angus might be interested, because I know he quite rightly points out the times, which I agree with, are sort of softest ground time. And I said to him, is the ground genuinely good ground? And in his view, he said it is genuinely good ground. He said it's a real headwind they're running into. That's what he said. Well,
Messrs Appleby and Buick farming winners this afternoon. That's now 3 and 3 in quick succession. Castle Way, arguably the most impressive of the lot. It's going to be quite a 3-year-old next year.
Yeah, he has come home strongly, hasn't he? I like the way Regal Honour finished his race off, but this fella as well in this nursery. And I think that time there, 2 minutes 9.73 over 10. That's a soft ground time. So I think they are being affected by the headwind differs that the jockeys report. The going is good. Castleway 3-1, 11-4. One World was second. One Nation the favourite third. The winning time, there it is, overall 2:9.73 compared to Cannon Rock of 2:8.47. So it's over a second quicker, Cannon Rock, over the same trip.